The Kia Telluride is perhaps the best three-row midsize crossover on sale, and it has been ever since Kia introduced this model back in the 2020 model year. It's kind of hard to believe that the Telluride has now been on sale for 4 years, and it just received its first facelift for the 2023 model year. Now, Kia has already introduced pricing for the 2024 model year Telluride, and 2024 Tellurides have already started to hit Kia dealerships in the United States. But for full disclosure, I could not get one of those in time for this video. So the model that I am showing you is a 2023 Telluride. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the big change that is happening for 2024 that you might want to hold off buying one of these until a 2024 shows up at your local dealership. So up front, Kia has made some small modifications to the Telluride's front end. We've got a slightly different tiger nose grille up front. I think it looks really great. We already know that Kia added its new logo to the Telluride even before the facelift. I like the logo, even though I know a lot of people think it says KN, as evidenced by Google searches. But the big change is here on the headlights. That sort of square LED running light from the original Telluride is gone in favor of this kind of new split design that is kind of split vertically here. Now for 2024, Kia has brought back the very popular amber LED running lights for the Telluride. They used to only be available on the top SX trim, but now you can get them on every single trim. Since this is a 2023 model year, we only have the white daytime running lights. You might actually prefer the white ones over the ambers, so that is something to consider if you're looking at a 2023 Telluride or a 2024 Telluride. Now this particular example is finished in wolf gray. I believe the K5 or the Stinger was one of the first vehicles to get that color, and I do think it looks really great on the Telluride. This one that we are driving is an SX Prestige model, so that is the top most loaded trim. And then on top of that, we have the X line. So the Telluride is a little bit confusing in terms of its trim packages. They added 2 new things that could be added to the Telluride for 2023. We've got the X line, which is what I'm showing you here. This is sort of a darker, sportier looking version of the Telluride. And then there's also the X Pro, which is a little bit more off-roady. So because we have the SX Prestige X line, I know, again, it's super confusing. We've got these really cool black 20-inch wheels. I think they kind of look like a spider web, if I'm being honest, which is kind of neat. Now they ride on regular tires. If you get the SX or SX Prestige X Pro, which is the more off-roady one, you actually downsize from 20-inch wheels down to 18-inch wheels, and you get all-terrain tires. And it's worth mentioning that if you like this X line look, you don't have to get the SX Prestige trim. You can also get the X line on the regular SX, which is pretty close to the SX Prestige, but just a little bit cheaper. And you can also get it on the mid-level EX trim. So you can save yourself some money if you just want like the appearance of this X line package, but you just kind of want a mid-level Telluride trim. Now here at the back, we see a little bit more changes here. We see a little bit of a reshape here in the taillight. The overall shape is the same, but the inner shaping is a lot different than what we first saw on the Telluride. We've got the new Kia badge and Telluride spelled out. I don't know if you noticed, but up there at the front, we no longer have Telluride written across the hood. Kind of disappointing. I think that looked really good, gave the Telluride kind of a Range Rover look. We do have our single dual exit exhaust down there at the bottom, and then because we have the X line, we get a little badge here on the liftgate. Now in terms of trunk space, the Telluride is a very large vehicle. It is not the biggest in the segment. The Chevy Traverse is still among the largest, and now the Toyota Grand Highlander has also usurped the Telluride in that area, but we still have a very generous amount of space in here. Even with the third row up, we're gonna have a whopping 21 cubic feet of space available to us here in the trunk. That is a really nice number. Now, the third row itself is manual. You do not get power third row, even on this top Telluride trim. That is one area where the Hyundai Palisade, which is this car's corporate sibling, actually outdoes the Telluride. You can get a power third row on the Palisade. Now with this down, we're gonna have 46 cubic feet of space, which is really nice. And the thing that I absolutely love here on the Telluride that I wish all automakers did on three-row crossovers like this is that we do have buttons that will power drop the second row down. If I go ahead and hit those down, you'll see that those captain chairs are gonna go ahead and fold, opening up 87 cubic feet, which is not the largest, but one of the largest in the segment. And it's definitely not just in the cargo area where the Telluride shines. This is an absolutely epic people hauler. So we've got the SX Prestige trim here, which means that we've got the captain's chairs. You can get the Telluride as a full 8-seater with a bench here. So 3 in the back, 3 here, and 2 in the front. But this Telluride is going to be limited to 7 passengers, but those 7 people are going to be very comfortable. We've got this really nice brown leather here. I think it looks fantastic. We do have armrests here on our captain's chairs as well. There are tons of amenities for the kids in the back to enjoy. For example, here on the door, we have both heated and ventilated seats. That is amazing. The Telluride was one of the first vehicles in this segment to do that, and now other people are copying Kia on that. We've got these awesome sun blockers, which is great for the kids if you don't want them to get a better night's sleep. You've got cup holders here. You've got USB-Cs now. These used to be USBs, but they actually got replaced by USB-Cs here in the actual seat backs for your kids to charge up. And then you get more, you get a full household outlet and a 12-volt outlet down here. So plenty of options for your kids to keep their devices charged. You also have your full climate control up here. You even get your own sunroof, which is pretty cool. So this actually opens up. It doesn't like physically open, but you can at least get a little bit of sun back here. And then getting into the third row is frankly really easy. You've got this button, you just push it, and this will kind of tip and slide forward, giving you a nice large area to get into the third row. I should mention that leg room in all 3 rows is actually pretty generous as well. I'm gonna go ahead and pull this back. It's a little bit forward of where it was, but I do have plenty of room here. This third row seat is a little bit narrow for squeezing 3 adults back here, but if you had 2 adults back here, I think they would be pretty comfortable. I've got an air vent up here. I've got 2 cup holders on this side and another USB-C port on this side, and then the same thing over here. And we do even have a 12-volt back there in the trunk that we could also use to charge up our devices, even in the third row. And last but not least, we'll check out the front seat where the parents are gonna be spending a lot of their time in a vehicle such as this. Again, these brown leather seats, I think they look fantastic because we have the X-Line trim. We have X-Line embossed in there, and I think this is just a really cool looking pattern as well. Of course, these front seats are heated and ventilated, just like the seats in the front. On the SX Prestige trim, we have 2 memory settings for this driver's seat, which is quite nice as well. We've got a Harman Kardon audio system with 10 speakers that sounds fantastic. And Kia has slightly changed up the look and style of its whole gauge cluster here. So we've got dual 12.3-inch screens, one for the infotainment, one for the cluster. The cluster looks very similar to other Kia products, but it's got all of the best technology, including the blind view monitor where you put on either of the turn signals and it's going to show you what's in your blind spot. I wish more automakers copied that. You even have a head-up display that also is going to show your blind spot information in there, so you know just from your head-up display whether somebody is in your blind spot or not. So just so many different ways to make sure that you don't accidentally merge into somebody. So if you do, it's really on you. In addition to the redesigned dashboard, we also have new vents. So these are slightly redesigned from the 2022 Telluride. We still have 3 air vents here in the middle, and I know it's such a small detail, but you can actually point all of these towards you. Listen, I run hot all the time. My girlfriend always points the air away from her. She does not like to have direct air on her, but I love direct air, so I point all 3 vents here at my face, and it really feels like a freezing cold tornado is about to smack me in the face. It feels fantastic. We also have a redesigned steering wheel that is a little bit different than what we had on the old Telluride, and there are a bunch of different color and trim options available here as you go through the lineup. So you don't just have these brown leather seats. I believe there's like a white and blue option available on one of them. There's just so many different ways that you can configure the Telluride here. We still have tons of physical buttons, so it's not all just handled on the touchscreen. Volume knob, tuning knob, temperature knobs, heated steering wheel button. Everything is physical, easy to use, well laid out. Fantastic on Kia's part. Easy switches for heated and ventilated seats, although they don't stay on when you get in and out of the car. I find that a little bit annoying. We've got a nice little cubby here with USB, USB-C, 12 volt, and a wireless charger. Plenty of cup holders here. We have our drive mode selector here. You can just spin this around. I'll talk a little bit more about the drive modes as we get it out on the road. Very great camera system with 360-degree view, very high resolution. Because this is a 7 or 8 seater, the kids are maybe going to block your view out of the back. Digital rear view camera, and as I mentioned in the back, sunroof up here, but then we also have a power one there in the back that opens up for the kiddies. So this is just so many features here on this car, and you do get all of that at a pretty nice price as well. All right, so now let's get the Telluride out on the road, and I don't want to make this too long of a driving clip because I've already belabored the point that the Telluride is a fantastic vehicle and has been ever since Kia introduced it. The drivetrain is the one area where they really haven't touched, and I'm gonna go ahead and say it's probably the weakest point of the car. If there was such a thing, it would be the Telluride's Achilles heel. It's a 3.8 liter Lambda V6. It produces 291 horsepower and 262 pound-feet of torque going out through an 8-speed automatic transmission. In terms of output, the torque is a little bit on the low side. Let me go ahead and put it into its sport mode. We've got Smart, Sport, Comfort, Eco, and Snow modes. Floor it. It sounds really good. The acceleration is pretty brisk. I will say the low torque number means that you might be, really accelerating and revving the engine quite a bit to get up to highway speeds, but it is a very smooth drivetrain. It is a very smooth 8-speed automatic transmission. You can get it with front-wheel drive or all-wheel drive. Really not too many complaints, so to speak. It's just definitely not the most powerful engine in its segment, nor is it the most fuel efficient. And that's the biggest problem I think I have with the Telluride at this point in time. With front-wheel drive, you're going to be getting 20 mpg in the city, 26 on the highway, and 22 combined. With all-wheel drive, like we have on this Telluride, you're only going to be getting 18 mpg in the city, 24 on the highway, and 20 combined. And I've been driving this mostly around town. I'm averaging right at 18 miles per gallon. That is just really not great. I know this is a very big, very large, heavy family vehicle, so you don't expect to get amazing fuel economy, but we are seeing a lot of other competitors coming out with hybrid drivetrains that get well above 30 mpg. So the Telluride really just lags behind those, and even compared to some of its gasoline-only competitors, the Telluride still isn't great on the fuel economy front. Now, in terms of towing, the Telluride also isn't that great. There are crossovers in this space that can tow more. The 5,000 pound tow rating has gone up a little bit if you get the new X Pro trim. That can tow 5,500 pounds, so whoop-de-doo, another extra 500 pounds, but worth noting if you're going to be using your Telluride to tow a boat or something. So like I said, fuel economy, it's kind of towards the bottom of the segment, and the engine itself is actually quite nice, even though I wish it was a little bit more fuel efficient. And as always, since the Telluride came out, it drives super well. I still have it in sport mode, and the steering is very connected to the driving experience. This does not feel like a big, sloppy, minivan with normal rear doors. This is actually a very nice, engaging driving experience. The chassis is really great as well. I think this drives a lot better than Kia's own Carnival minivan. That feels a lot bigger than it really is. The Telluride kind of shrinks around the driver in a really nice way. The ride is a little firmer than the Carnival, but nowhere near uncomfortable. It is still a really nice ride, and the quietness in the cabin, especially on these higher end trims, is just so nice. This is such a great, comfortable road trip vehicle. We've got so many standard safety features, and if you get these higher end trims, you're gonna get the Highway Driving Assist 2, which has some of the best lane keep assist I've ever experienced, like Tesla included. Like, this is on like par with Tesla, really. Like, the steering just kind of like moves the steering wheel by itself. You can really feel it doing. It's not a hands-free system, but you can really feel it just taking some of the stress away from you as a driver, and I really like that. Overall, the Telluride is still an amazing vehicle. I just really wish that Kia would have a hybrid version. I guess they're probably just skipping that because they do have the Kia EV9 coming out, which is going to be all electric. All right, so that was the 2023 and technically the 2024 Kia Telluride. Because we already have pricing for the 2024 model, I'm gonna go ahead and give you that at the end of this video now. The base price of a Telluride is gonna start just under $36,000. That's for a basic LX trim with front wheel drive. If you want an SX Prestige with the X line that we saw in this video, you're looking at about $52,000, and the X Pro is about $1,000 more than that. It's gonna get you those all-terrain tires, a more rugged look. You actually get a little bit of a suspension lift on that one as well. And those prices do not include a $1,300-ish destination fee. So the Telluride has crept up a little bit in price from where it first began in 2020, but honestly, that's kind of just, you know, a microcosm of the entire car market right now. Everything has been going up in price. Is the Telluride still one of the most compelling vehicles out there? Yes, absolutely. I do think that Hyundai has also done a really nice job updating its Palisade. I think you should go ahead and drive that and the Telluride back to back because they are really great vehicles. They do drive a little bit differently, not much, but they do have very different interior layouts, even if a lot of the feature content is the same. The one competitor outside of those two that I would tell you to definitely cross shop is going to be that new Toyota Grand Highlander, because you can get it with a turbocharged 4-cylinder gasoline engine that's more efficient than this, and you can also get it as a hybrid that is way more fuel efficient than the Telluride or the Palisade. But anyway, I hope you really enjoyed this review of the 2023 Kia Telluride. For more videos like it, be sure to like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell to be alerted of our latest videos. I'll see you next time.